Yeah. Yeah, people have a thing that they call a tanis dibur, right? And I've heard people say it. I've never seen, it must be like a later innovation because I've never seen anything like that in the like, in
the Jewish realm.
No, I've seen it. I haven't seen anything of that in like classical, like halachic literature or stuff like that. It must be like a later innovation. Okay, so here's the mishnah. I think it's the last mishnah in the first parak of Pirkei Avos. Okay, anyone want to take a stab at it? What was it?
Like we're doing a Pirkei Avos.
Yeah, it's Pirkei Avos, but basically what happens is there's this mishnah in Pirkei Avos. We'll learn it like normal, but the Rambam has like a whole essay, mini essay on silence and speech, which ends with his view on Jewish music. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, who wants to take it? Go ahead, Ayala.
The wise man has said, in a multitude of...
Oh, sorry. The Hebrew is what we're doing, the Mishnah, yeah. That was very nice English, though.
Awkward, all right. Shimon ben Omer, Shimon his son would say...
Yeah, so this is the Shimon ben Gamliel, who was one of the Tanaim. There are a bunch of Shimons and Gamliels. So like Shimon ben Gamliel, ben Shimon ben Gamliel, I forgot how many there are, but yeah. Anyway.
All my days, I grew up between.
Good. Yeah.
And I have not found a good body.
Laguf. Tov laguf. Yeah.
Oh, what's good for the body?
Yeah, good.
I don't know.
Shtika. Silent, yeah.
Like shaka.
Below
yeah, so how would you translate that whole phrase? Yeah, you said it right.
I haven't found anything that's good for the body besides.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that's good for the body or better than for the body than silence.
Below.
In other words, if you want a good diet, the silence diet is the best. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, now this is a little hard to translate because of the word midrash. Right, we know what midrash refers to like as a genre of text, but what's like the word midrash literally? Inquiry is good, but actually, this might mean inquiry. I'm not sure. There's two uses of midrash, right? Because doresh is like to inquire, right? Seeker and to acquire. What kind of learning though? Okay, good. Explanation of. No, right? Because we use it usually for the opposite. Yeah, right. So. Best translation I would say is expounding. Okay, expounding means you take a text and you elaborate on it. Okay, and that could either be for the pshat purposes or for drush purposes. But midrash has the implication of like textual unpacking, like unpacking the text. Okay, we'll modify it if we need to, but that just in terms of getting an initial translation. What was that?
She's like, "There's a song." I was like, "Not with this one."
All right. Yeah.
Maybe anyone who tries to come up with it.
Yeah, marbe like from yeah, a lot. Who's anyone who marbe as verb devarim? Yeah, increases words, right? Oh, we had this phrase before. For the sicha, the saveri, what was it? Marbe sicha im haisha, right? Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, good. And you're correct. It brings it on himself. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. All right. And again, we're going to be doing a Rambam on this, but we should learn this the way we usually do to see what the Rambam answers. So what are the questions and problems here? We got a list.
What does each thing have to do with another?
Yeah. Okay, good. Have we talked about that in the Mishnah so far about like how to learn like what the deal is with that question?
Is it either that like it's just one guy and once it says him, it's just saying like everything he said?
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about
okay, we did have this. Okay, good. All right. So what is the connection between the three clauses of the Mishnah? Yeah. So just to repeat what Ayala said, some Mefarshim hold that if the three of them are stated in one Mishnah, they have to all be related, and others say that no, these are just three things that he said. Okay. Do they look related on the surface or not?
No, I think they do.
It's ambiguous, right? So what? Yeah, first and third definitely seem related, right? Because he's saying that silence is really good for you, and then if you increase words, then that's really bad for you. The middle one, not clear. Like if you had to force it to fit in, what direction? Like what would you What do you think the relationship is between the two? No, we're not interpreting it, just like, do you get a sense of like how it would relate to the other?
Something about an action that you do.
Right, action as opposed to
Words.
words. Yeah, right. Okay, good. So I think that's the direction you could take it. All right, but it's a legitimate question either way. Okay, good. What else do we need to ask here?
Kind of sounds like if you talk a lot.
Yeah, it does, right? So how does increasing words bring sin? Okay, like just practically, how does that work?
Is speaking a lot bad?
Okay.
To elaborate on that?
Yeah, okay, good. So what's so bad about speaking a lot? Can you ask a stronger version of that question? Because like go with what Ayala said, it sounds like just speaking a lot is going to make you sin. But what if?
Why speaking? What if not speaking? What if you're speaking?
That could be.
Torah?
Yeah. What if you're speaking a lot of Torah, right? Is it
Right.
so let's just ask this: is it all words, right? Because that's what it sounds like. Okay. Or and if not, then why does he state? So is it all words? Let's say, including Torah. And if not, why does he state it as an absolute? Right? It sounds like just don't speak a lot. He should have said like don't speak a lot of like regular conversation or like sicha, right from the first thing. Yeah. Right.
Better for the body.
Yeah. What's weird about that?
It has nothing to do with your body.
Yeah, body is just weird, right? So why does he say that he's found nothing better for the body than silence? What does this have to do with your body? Right? What would you have expected him to say?
Your mind.
Your mind,
Mhm.
your growth, your soul, your righteousness, anything except body. Body just makes it sound. That I think that's why I made like the comment of like the best diet is the silent diet. Just don't open your mouth. But yeah, it's what does that have to do with body?
That's really bad.
What?
He's saying like don't eat.
No, he's not saying that. But
Oh.
I was making the joke about that. Yeah. All right. Also, it's kind of I found it a little weird the way he introduces this piece of advice.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
such a minute question, but like why is he saying like I was raised among Sadiqim?
Yeah. So what is
Why do you
he?
have to show off? We already know.
Yeah, exactly. What is he adding by saying I was raised by Chachamim? Right? It's not. Yeah,
Well, it's Esau's point.
that's true.
I don't know. Come on, we know you're smart already.
I feel like it makes sense. Like, he's not saying like he's saying all the great people like don't talk like that type.
Okay, so that could definitely be it. But I guess my question is, I think it's reasonable to assume that many of the people in Pirkei Avos were raised among Chachamim because they're Tanaim, right? And it's reasonable to assume that many of the behaviors that they're saying they observed in other people. So why does he need to say this in terms like certainly it boosts his ethos, right? But why does he need to say this in order to like make his point come across? Like what was in the last one that we did? Because it doesn't really work for the last one that we did. Let's say the Sicha Ima Isha thing, right? So I forgot who said that. Hillel. No, that was not Hillel. The last one we did was Hillel. Maybe. I don't know. Whoever said it, well, he could have said like I've been in a lot of houses with Chachamim, and like I haven't seen anything worse for relationship than like a lot of Sicha with your Isha, So yeah. So it's I guess I'm not saying it's like a problem, but it is like Leah says, like at least a minor question.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think that's about it. Oh, and then
Why isn't it not?
yeah. What?
It's like good. It's like medrash. It's like the same word.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is then, and I don't know, I forgot. Hold on just a second here. Yeah. What does he mean by midrash in this context? Why isn't it the ikar? The ikar. Why might one think it is the ikar instead of maaseh? Which here's the thing: is if midrash. Someone make an argument just on the surface for why you might think that midrash is more important than maaseh, even though we don't know what midrash is. But like,
Why expounding is more important
than action? Yeah.
Because you have to know what.
Yeah, good, right? Is that you have to learn, like midrash is some sort of learning, seemingly, right? You got to learn in order to be able to act, okay? And what do we say about like the value? I don't know if you're familiar with this phrase, if there was a song about it, the value of Talmud Torah, of Torah study. There's like a catchphrase about like the value compared to other mitzvos. Very close. Yeah. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, right? Talmud Torah is equal to all of them. Maybe there's another one that says Talmud Torah is Keneged Kol Torah Kula. Yeah, right. So like learning is really valuable. Learning is really valuable. And so like you might think that it's more important, but so if it said
It is a song.
okay. yeah, chances are it's gonna be a song. So like, does he mean learning? If so, then like why is action better? If he's saying midrash is a specific type of learning, like why is he focusing on that? What's the deal with this? Okay, so let us, because we don't have a lot of time today particularly, let's just start reading the Rambam, okay? And this will give us a first step to work with. Okay, and by the way, for this one, it was such a long thing, I just translated it all into English. Okay, good. And just a reminder, this was written in Arabic, so I also feel less guilty doing it in English and not doing the original language because we don't have the original language. Okay, who wants to begin? Yeah, it's long. Go ahead, Emily.
Wise men have said, in a multitude of words, error will not be lacking.
Which wise man?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we learned that pasuk. I don't think I learned that with you. Okay.
The reason for this is that a multitude of words contains words that are superfluous.
Yeah, what does that word mean?
Extra.
Yeah, superfluous. Yeah, superfluous is extra, not needed. Yeah.
And sinful, as I shall presently explain. When a person increases words, he will surely err, since it is impossible that there would not be among his words a word that is improper to utter. One of the signs of the wise is that minimization of words, as the sages said, offense for wisdom is silence. One of the signs of a fool is a multitude of words, as it is stated, and a fool's voice is in a multitude of words. The sages have said that minimization of words brings honor to one's family and shows that the person has yichus, as the sages said,
Yeah. Mi chusta shtikusa.
silence is linear.
Okay, so first of all, what is he saying about the type of hate that we're talking about here?
Saying something inappropriate.
Yeah, saying something inappropriate, not necessarily like a halachic technical hate, okay? Which kind of reminds me also of another question we should have raised, which we should raise on every mishnah in Pirkei Avos, is
this wait, what's the thing called?
derech.
Derech
Yeah.
or derech.
Yeah, is this derech ha'am or is this derech hayachid? To what extent is this for everybody, and to what extent is this for people who are already keeping all of halacha and want to go further? So far, what does it sound like he's saying? Sounds like a derech hayachid thing, right? Because he's including saying extra words as like something that you want to avoid, and I feel like that's not something that the average person is necessarily concerned with. Okay, so sin here means like err. What's a Shorashim packet? Hate means sin or miss the target. Okay, right? So here it's more like, I think, missing the target, meaning that it could be a sin, but it could also just be saying something you shouldn't have said or saying something extra.
It also says maybe.
Right, that's also true. That's a good point. Maybe, yeah, we should have added that in our questions. Let's actually.
Maybe also like the more
Good
you
catch.
say, the more likely you are. to-
Yeah, that's what it sounds like for maybe hate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on just one second. I just want to add that here.
I used the word stuff wrong. I love.
Not
Bam! I stuck it.
then. What's he has absolute.
We told everybody shade about your using the word.
Hate.
The word now.
What?
We just use it.
Oh, what
so
happened?
good.
Now that I know the word.
I know, it really
I
helps.
saw this table came up, and I'm like, I know.
It helps and it makes it like fun.
You guys talking about Gemara
Yeah.
vocab? Yeah.
We begged
Instead
for
of
food. She didn't want to do
saying
them.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. This week we'll tell him he has to do it again.
So manipulative, guys. We always get you just think too stubborn.
You made him do it, literally.
Anyway, speaking of increasing words. Yeah, sorry, the last point you made was you said that he doesn't say that increasing words is a hate, but it brings a hate. Yeah, that's good diuk. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
hate, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it means chataim though, you're right. Okay. What do you think of that? This last point I didn't really think about here. The minimization of words brings honor to your family because it shows you have yichus. He doesn't elaborate on that. I think that's a little interesting. Any just thoughts on what he might mean?
Made it seem like one sin of the past generation leads to the sin of the next generation. So you're kind of just like continuing.
Oh, so I thought he was saying the opposite. I thought he was saying that if you see someone who is generally silent, that means they have good lineage. That means they have good family background. Whereas it's not necessarily implying the opposite. It's not necessarily like if they talk a lot, then like they've got family problems, you know?
No, not that if they talk a lot. I thought it was more of if you're a family that talks a lot and says a lot of foolish things, it will mess up your kids.
So yeah, that would be an implication, I think, from the first part of what he's saying about how like the multitude of words is going to bring sin. I'm just wondering how is it that that silence will indicate like good lineage?
I feel like I'm thinking
Yeah.
science as humility.
Also, I was going to say that maybe it's kind of just like a cultural thing. Like, let's say your dad was a rabbi, like, you know, like rabbi type of behaviors. Like,
Yeah.
even if it isn't halacha, like just rabbi type of like behaviors, like stuff like that. So maybe it shows that like your family like grew up this way. Because this is stuff you only know like just by observing.
Yeah. So this is actually leading to an answer to one of our questions, maybe.
Why he bring up?
Yeah, why does he say he grew up with this, right? And Rambam's not commenting on that directly, but like it does, like you can picture a thing like this. Like let's say you see that, let's say you see someone your age, okay, who is very like reserved in their speech, not necessarily shy, but like they don't just like say whatever's on their mind or whatever they're feeling, you know. I tell me if you agree with this. I feel like it is kind of reasonable to assume that they like grew up in a home that was conducive to that, like where maybe the people are thoughtful and they don't just say whatever's on their mind. I feel like it's very hard for someone to develop that trait if they don't have examples of it like around them, you know. Whereas that's not necessarily true of other traits. Like there are other traits where you just like you're an energetic kid, and that doesn't mean that like your parents are energetic or like you are very, you know, like nerdy or you're very like. Yes, that's I think that's the direction that he was going. Yeah, and therefore if you see this behavior, you can infer certain things about how they were raised or about their parents, whereas you can't necessarily deal with every single midah. Let's keep that in mind as like a working theory because I think that's good. What were you gonna say?
I was thinking like science as humility.
Okay. Well, yeah. How so?
Because like if that makes sense with the whole like you're raised with your family. One's family, like people who are like more humble, they think they're more reserved and they think about things that they say.
Yeah. So there are a lot. I feel like there are psukim initially about that we've done. Do you remember one we did early in the year?
Validation. We didn't want to about like you look to other people to like agree with you.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
I was gonna say. So is it a fool doesn't desire understanding except in what his heart reveals? Yeah. So I think we said a similar idea there also that why does the fool like talk and say his ideas?
He likes the reality.
Okay, so the external reason is he likes the sound of his own voice and he likes people admiring him for his wisdom. And then what do you say, Ayala?
He thinks they are reality.
Yeah, is that he has this like default assumption that of course my thoughts and my feelings are reality. So like, you know, and therefore like I like I am intrinsically like in line with reality, and therefore like everyone should hear what I have to say. You okay? Okay. Yeah. So I see the connection there saying Ayala for the what do you call it? The arrogance. Were you saying that also indicates humility in the family?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that also. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Let's go on now. Who is Emily? You were reading, right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It was said in the Sefer Hamidah that one of the wise men was seen to be especially silent to the extent that he only spoke very little. He said to him, "Why are you so quiet?" He said, "I have examined speech and found it to be divided into four."
By the way, irony, he's going to give kind of a long answer, but yeah, go ahead.
This is a guy who's talking.
Yeah. Well, since you asked. Yeah.
You only get one chance to say it.
Yeah.
Ferb talks and Phineas and Ferb.
All right, go ahead. So the four categories of speech. Go ahead.
The first category is speech which is entirely harmful without any benefit, just cursing people in inappropriate language and things like that. Speech of this kind is completely folly. The second category is speech which is harmful in one's aspect and beneficial in another, such as praising a person in order to obtain a benefit from him. But that praise antagonizes his enemy and harms the one who is praised. Therefore, a person should refrain from this on account of this. And he shouldn't speak in this category of speech.
All right, we'll read the next two and then we'll discuss. Go ahead.
Okay. The third category is speech which has neither benefit nor harm. It is majority of people's conversations. How the city wall was built and how so and so's place was built.
Palace.
House, yeah. Was built. And the description of the beauty of so and so's house and the abundance of such superfluous.
I think he skipped a line. Abundance of.
Of such and such country's produce and other things like that, which are superfluous. The wise man said that even this category is superfluous and has no benefit. The fourth category is comprised of statements which are entirely beneficial, such as speech about knowledge and virtues, and a person's speech about matters which pertain to the maintenance of his life, preservation
Yeah.
of his existence. In this category alone is proper to speak. The wise man said, anytime I hear something, I examine it. I found it to be in the fourth category, I spoke about it, but if it was in others, I was silent from it. The masters of ethics said, behold this man and his wisdom, and that he admitted 3/4 of statements. This is wondrous wisdom, which is proper to.
Yeah, we're not going to go on yet today. Okay, we're going to talk about this today. So,
Reminds me of Eleanor Roosevelt.
yes, that quote.
Oh yeah.
Some people talk about people, events, and ideas.
Yeah. What was the?
I don't remember.
I had this in my room,
Talking about
wall in room 5.
Yeah.
Ideas. Like middle people talk about like talking about themselves.
people, events.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
People,
Events,
events,
idea.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, but, like,
Eleanor Roosevelt. I think average minds. Right. That was how it started off. Yeah. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So how? Yeah, we'll have to keep that in mind as an example, actually. So hold on just one second here. Yeah. So this division of speech into 4 categories,
interesting.
it is interesting. What's the criteria that these 4 categories are based on? Like how?
Whether or not it's beneficial.
Yeah, benefit, right? So you have category 1, let's just review. Category 1 was entirely harmful without benefit. Category 2, some benefit, some harm. Category 3, neither benefit nor harm, like neutral speech. And then category 4 is entirely beneficial. And you notice the examples he gives in entirely beneficial? Knowledge, virtues, right? So that'd be like learning and mitos, okay?
Maintenance of
And yeah, right, maintenance of his life and preservation of existence. Why is that considered beneficial?
order to talk about.
Yeah, right. It's like because you need to do that in order to live, and when you live, then you can then talk about knowledge and virtue, which are the main things. Okay. And what was this guy's policy? Why? So what was his answer to the question? Why are you so quiet? Really? I only talk about the 4th thing, right? Is I omitted all the other categories, and then whenever I was going to say something, I thought about which category it goes into, and I only spoke about the beneficial thing.
But based on this, an entire category could have so much to say about it. So why would you constantly be silent?
Okay, good. So here's the thing: is that how is this guy interpreting, or how is he acting in line with the instructions to minimize speech? Like, what's the interpretation of minimizing speech based on this guy's policy? If that makes sense. Like, in other words, how would this guy, he doesn't say who he was, so this guy in the Sefer Midos. So how is he implementing the Mishnah's advice, does it seem?
Filtering out.
Yeah, so he's approaching it categorically by saying silence in terms of these 3 like categories of speech. But in terms of the 4th category, he doesn't say anything about minimizing it, right?
Right.
So it sounds like he would say that he would speak about whatever he needed to speak about in the 4th category, but he's only minimizing the first 3.
Question on the category.
Yeah.
Third category, the examples that he gives, like it kind of seems like things which I guess like beneficial to what?
Yeah. Okay, good. Right. Meaning like, well, wait, sorry. The 3rd category is neither benefit nor harm.
Right, but
Yeah.
I would say that some of the things that he puts in there are beneficial.
Like what?
Like how the city wall is built. Like either that's good for like maintaining the safety.
In which case it would be in category 4, right?
or
Oh, you'd be talking
So
about
saying
it
you're
in a way
specifically
of-
talking about
So-
it for the purpose of the city.
No, I don't think he's even talking about that. Like you got to plug in examples that are contemporary for you. You know, like, did you see that? You know, the new episode of The Crown last night. You know, yeah. Or
beneficial, like for you as a person,
Right.
not for society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so
Not
I-
with your
I think
friends,
what he-
about random stuff.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
like just
do.
random.
Well, I think it's good sometimes because you need a break from just thinking all the time about these.
Yeah, here's what I think what he'd say is that if you're doing it for a purpose, like that would be a beneficial purpose, so then that would be beneficial. Like, you know, but just idle chatter about stuff. Like I had a friend of mine used to say that like he used to say that when he's around people who are into like Torah and learning and stuff, then all their conversations are beneficial. When he's at work, he said everyone's conversation comes down to, well, I like this. Well, I don't like that. And he said that's basically all conversations are just like boiling down to, and then it's just people taking turns saying, like, you wait for the other person to say that they liked or didn't like something, and then you say, oh, I like this, and I like, you know, and that's the whole conversation. So yeah, it can have a purpose, but I think most of why people are involved in that is not for purposes, you know, and they certainly don't do what this guy's saying of like asking themselves.
Well, he's having intention. I feel like.
Yeah.
I talk about the count, maybe it is helping me, but if I'm not acknowledging that, then I guess. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
exactly. Right. Yeah. And look, whenever you're talking about harm and benefit, there is a quantitative aspect to it, you know, like it's not just an absolute. I mean, he's putting in absolute categories, but it's not like it's either beneficial or not. There's varying degrees, you know? So I think there is a certain like judgment call you make about like, is it beneficial for me to be like letting off some steam talking about something for half an hour? Or if I do it for 5 hours, then maybe that's a little excessive, you know, like there's a, yeah. What do you think about like practically what this guy did? Like in terms of
Yeah, like they're having a conversation about like the city wall, and he's just
He
like,
walks out.
yeah, it sounds like it's a, yeah. Sounds like it's a, like, I don't know. It sounds like it's a very hard thing to actually implement if you're with other people, you know, like you can't like, I feel like you'd also have to change your social groups a little bit in order to be able to successfully implement this without coming across like a weirdo, you know? Yeah. Okay. Preview for tomorrow. Rambam is going to then come up with his own division, which is 5 categories. Okay. Then he's going to talk about music. All right, so that'll be the plan for tomorrow. Or yeah, tomorrow, right? Yeah. Yep, class is
I
over.
know, right?
Right,
That was
so
really
fast.
short.
Yeah.
That's probably- Was it shorter than normal?
It was